Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today is day 6 of Plant-Based Telehealth Week, and to introduce today's doctor, who is also a chef, we have the co-founder of Plant-Based Telehealth. Please welcome back Dr. Lori Marbas.
Thank you, Chef AJ, for having us again. This has been such a delight this week, and I'm really excited to introduce, oh my goodness, Dr. Colin Zhu. Again, he is a chef and a doctor, which is pretty remarkable in and of itself. He's combining the value of understanding food and nutrition with the expertise of being a physician. And he's licensed in California, Connecticut, Florida, New Jersey, Texas, and Washington. So I'll turn it over to you guys and have a wonderful interview.
Thanks. And you will be back tomorrow to wrap this all up. You will be our guest tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, great. Thanks. Hi, Dr. Zhu.
Hello.
Oh, boy, you got a nice coat on.
Thank you. Thank you.
How do you decide if you're going to wear your doctor's coat or your chef's coat? Well, they're both white, so.
Yes, that's a very good question. It depends on how much I get splattered on myself. So then I'll wear my chef's coat.
That's fine. Why do you think they made chef coats white? Because isn't that kind of the worst color in a way? Because we're always going to get something on it.
You know what? That's a very good question. And it's the same thing I pondered, the same thing about a doctor's white coat, because it's pure white, right? We get blood and guts and, all this other stuff on us. And I'm just like, how come there's not other colors, right? I don't know the actual answer to that, but I know that in terms of a professional sense, when they have to present in front of a banquet or something like that, it just needs to be tip top. And I don't know if you ever said this in the past, but a lot of chef coats are double breasted. So meaning it'll open up from one side and then you can actually flip it over to the other side. So whenever you're cooking and you get a whole bunch of other stuff, you just unbutton this and then actually button to the other side. And then you just present yourself. So
nice. Yeah. I always wore a colored chef coat just because it was, I have my original chef coat from when I worked in the restaurant. It's so dirty now. After a certain point, you just can't clean them anymore.
It's like yours, I remember, is like orangey, right? Is it orangey or?
I have a purple one and I have a black one, and I used to have a tie-dyed one. That was my favorite.
Ooh, I like that one. I like that one.
So tell us about your working for Plant-Based Telehealth now. Congratulations. That sounds wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. And, thank you so much for having, me on Chef AJ. And it's always wonderful to see you and to be on this platform with yours. I know you're reaching hundreds of thousands, and it's awesome, awesome what you do. So I really appreciate it. Basically, there's actually a newest member, but I'm the second to the most recent newest member. All the team, I'm number 8 in terms of team members, in terms of physicians. So Plant-Based Telehealth, I'm sure you've been watching all my wonderful colleagues this past week, and pretty much is a great platform. We're all plant-based docs. We're all practicing lifestyle medicine, preventative care, just really putting out there and advocating, wellness for everyone, and really honing into this niche of, how do we take care of our bodies better? How do we, maintain ourselves? I love using the analogies of a car, right? A lot of people have an idea of maintaining a car, taking it to a routine check, doing, an oil change, right? That's almost second nature to most of us. And I tell my patients, you know what, if you look at ourselves, look at your physical bodies as an actual car, and, if you think of ourselves as one car that you only get for a lifetime, what are you going to do? You got to maintain as much as you can. So basically, I tell them, you know what, you got to, put yourselves into the, get a wellness check, an annual physical. And so, the concept of, what we're trying to do, I'm sure, Anthony and Dr. Lori, that she's going to be on tomorrow, will definitely advocate is, we're going to be setting to be the first national lifestyle, telehealth program out there. And, we're a strong team of 8, soon to be a team of 9. And I think Dr. Lori wants to close out at 10. Excuse me. And so, and everyone brings their own, strengths to this. And so, I love bringing in, my perspective in terms of food as medicine, culinary medicine, and then my background's in lifestyle medicine. So it's been a blast. It's been a pleasure seeing patients on the platform. Obviously, it's a different world we're living in. in terms of seeing things virtually and counseling and coaching people virtually. So, but I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
That's great. Well, I love the fact that you're a chef because, food is medicine, right?
Definitely. So it's definitely, a concept that's, old as time, basically. And, Hippocrates said, let food, be thy medicine. So, and it's usually using that concept to apply that, to ourselves and, reinforcing, self-care and what that means, right? Not just food as medicine, but I consider other things as food as medicine in terms of, what do we have in our thoughts? What are these outside influences? What do we say to ourselves, right? Self-talk, negative, limiting beliefs, things like that, enhancing our emotional self. I'm an osteopath, I'm a DO, and we're trained in connecting mind, body, and spirit. We don't think anything is, separate or isolated. Everything is very, very connected. And I'm sure, when we're in this pandemic, you can realize that, what? COVID is invisible, and yet it is, it's really putting a number on ourselves. And what it really did was bring mental health to the forefront. And guess what? Mental health is invisible as well, right? Unless you see people's facial expressions and you see people's emotions, but it's also a very invisible, notion, and that can be detrimental to our health. So we try to combine everything in addition to food as medicine. So,
right, you're Chinese, correct?
Correct.
So could you please put to rest for once and for all that rice is a good food to eat? I get so tired. We had a webinar on Monday with Dr. McDougall defending the potato, and I almost feel like we need another one defending rice because I'm so tired of people bashing rice. And, he talked all about the arsenic, and it's really interesting because I got my nails done yesterday and my manicurist is actually Chinese. And we talk about, well, what do you eat and things like that. She goes, oh, I don't eat rice. I'm like, you're Chinese and you don't eat rice? She goes, no, that's why there's so many diabetics in China. And then when I left, and she was on her lunch, she was eating crackers. Like crackers can't be, even if rice isn't healthy, which it is, I'm sure it's healthier than crackers. So what can I tell you? I love rice and I love white rice. And I'm so tired of people saying it's not healthy.
Yeah. So historically, culturally, rice is literally eaten all over the world. Here in America, we are a melting pot. So we have a lot of, Latino cultures, Asian cultures, South Asian cultures. We historically, culturally, just thousands and thousands of years, we've been eating it, And in terms of the cultural aspect, the Chinese, we eat family style. So we have a lot of dishes that are in the middle of the table. And some of them can be very potent flavors. Some of them can be like really powerful, in terms of spice and also in terms of, the umami component of it, right? A lot of, sauces and, that go along with the dish. The rice is meant to, kind of complement that and use to kind of dampen, that type of, flavoring, what I'm saying? And it also adds, satiety, the bulk to it. Rice comes in many different forms. There's so many different types of rice, and, rice at the end of the day, it is healthy, but at the, if you think about it, it is kind of whittled down from, from what, where we, get things, and so, there's many different types, of rice. I'm not going to say that, I definitely think it's healthier than crackers, and, I wouldn't go as, I like to enjoy rice over time. We've transitioned from white rice to brown rice, and then we've just, ventured off into many different types of other grains. So nutritionally, speaking, it is very healthy.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Lot. Oops, sorry about that.
It is very healthy. I definitely advocate, eating more brown rice, having more of the fibrous component, the B vitamins that are, coming along with, the outer casings of it. So, and then I just combine it with other types of, grains. So.
Great. Well, thank you. But it's not this horrible food like some people.
No, I wouldn't run away from it. You know what I'm saying? So.
Are you familiar with the work of Dr. Walter Kempner? What he was able to do with white rice?
What was he able to do?
Reverse diabetes in all of his patients. There's a very famous diet called the rice diet that I believe is still given at Duke University.
I'm not familiar with this work, but that's amazing.
Yeah, check it out because I want to make rice great again.
Definitely, definitely.
I mean, because when people say, "Oh, plant-based diets are so expensive," well, rice isn't, for example.
Right. I think a lot of people, when they think of things, they think about the organic component of it and how, there's, a lot of cost and effectiveness with, organic produce, right? People think of, Whole Foods and, how everything is so expensive. And honestly, if you think about it, whole grains, beans, legumes, peas, lentils, things like that. Those are, tubers, complex carbs, the potato, those are some of the most healthiest, foods, on the planet. And you can get them in bulk items. You can get them, they store very well, pantry, dry food, aisles and things like that. You just have to know where to shop, right? Not everything is a Whole Foods. Not everything is, you can go to a wholesale club. Here being in LA, where I'm, recording this from, we have the opportunity and pleasure to be able to visit different types of ethnic markets, right? So like Mexican markets, Indian markets, Chinese markets, Korean, Vietnamese markets. And so depending on where you go, it's priced differently, right? Depending on where you go, things are either packaged, right? You're paying for packaging, you're paying for labor, you're paying for, different types of preparation. So I would probably say, you just have to do a little research in terms of what's in your area and then being able to source those items. So it doesn't have to be expensive in that way.
Great thing. People are asking about, well, what about forbidden rice? Well, you can't eat it if it's forbidden. No, I'm just
So forbidden rice has a historical context. It goes back, to the Qing dynasty. And in terms of how the emperor, was, having these types of rices, and so it's more of a cultural and historical context. And forbidden rice has many different variations. There's many different, colors to it. It's very beautiful. They will have black hues and purplish hues, and it's just very, very for me, I advocate more variety of different types of whole grains instead of sticking to one. That way you can increase your culinary palate. You can increase understanding the context, right? So white is just white rice is great, but there's so many different types of classes and families yet to explore.
Great. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. How's your your hip? You're doing okay?
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. I had a little procedure. Like they put a long needle in and boom, I'm better. I was pickleball injury. So I'm not allowed to play pickleball anymore.
Oh man, pickleball's the best.
I know it's the funnest and it's all they do in my community. But I was advised by my healthcare professional after 3 injuries that I just don't have what it takes for that particular sport.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to see you up and about. So
yeah, thank you.
What we have for today, and you can stop me along the way, Chef AJ, is I have a couple of recipes that I've given your audience. Whenever you share with the audience a couple of recipes, one I make this for my family, and it's called a golden turmeric salad. Very simple preparation. And the second one is a mixed fruit chia seed pudding, which is inspired by my mom's recipe as well. So I'm happy to share both of those. So without further ado, unless you have any other questions, I'll get straight into it. So
and thank you for sharing the recipes. I put them in the show notes. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see them. If you're watching on Facebook, go to YouTube and that's where they are written.
Yeah, definitely. So basically the golden turmeric salad. So this salad, I literally came up with it. I wanted to do something quick, something that was healthy, and something that was, really, really, like anti-inflammatory. I came up with this sometime last fall in the winter. We're going into the fall and winter season, so we're going to getting a lot of colds, a lot of sniffles, right? And then flu season, and then obviously you have the big elephant in the room, COVID, right? So a lot of different things is we have to be able to decrease inflammation, decrease congestion, things like that. And so I came up with the salad, wanting a fresh, preparation. When I think of salads, I think of freshness. I think of the raw component. I think of what can I do with different ingredients that is prepared, just basically fresh and raw, and so I'm not using any actual salad greens per se, but I am actually using a combination of cherry tomatoes, Persian cucumbers, some good old fashioned Haas avocados, and ground turmeric. All right, nutritional yeast, which both of those are giving it its golden yellow component. And you have the option of using apple cider vinegar or rice vinegar. There's that rice again, Chef AJ, and ground black pepper. And I like to garnish my salad with green onions or scallions and what they call Japanese furikage. And I'll explain what that is in a moment, okay? So basically, you're gonna get a mixing bowl, okay? I'll be right back. So just like a good old-fashioned mixing bowl like this, right? And let's see. So what we're going to do, let me see if I can kind of tilt this downward right here. How do you see? See everything good?
That's beautiful.
Okay, great. So you're going to get a mixing bowl like this, okay? Nothing too fancy. And what you're going to do, you're going to take some cherry tomatoes, okay? I do this for a serving size of 4 to 6. So cherry tomatoes, definitely look for blemishes, definitely look for any like mold because they go bad pretty easily. And then what you want to do is you want to have them. Okay. So, just kind of have them. And the reason why is because, if you don't have them, they're just going to be rolling around a lot. And I find that, when you're having them and when you're actually cutting them, it's going to be absorbing the flavors a lot more. So, all right. And, basically, we're going to be doing that, and I'm going to be speaking and talking at the same time. And then, Chef AJ, whenever you're needing to ask a question, just let me know. So
you
first,
know what you just said? You just said I'm going to be speaking and talking at the same time. So
you know what, as much as Americans, we would like to think so, there is actually no such thing as multitasking. There's a great book called The One Thing, a couple of authors. I believe one of them is, his name is Gary Keller. And one of the big takeaways that I got from The One Thing was that they did research of a couple of studies where they found that multitasking is very, very difficult. And we do something called task switching. And it's kind of like a computer. You think that a computer actually multitasks, it actually doesn't. What it does is that it'll switch between applications at a very, very increased speed. And that's called task switching. So when you're doing something like using a knife and speaking in the camera, definitely slow down and focus and don't cut your finger off.
Right.
So,
because, I always feel like multitasking is just doing two things poorly.
It's true. It's true. So you have to ask yourself, do I want to do two things, poorly? You know what I'm saying? So, so basically what we're going to do is you're going to cut them in half like this. Okay. And I've already prepared a little bit here on my side bowls. Okay. And then the next thing you want to do is take a couple of Persian cucumbers that I've already rinsed, okay? You're gonna head and tail them, okay? Head and tail them is just slang for, you're gonna cut the ends off, okay? And then after that, what you wanna do is you wanna have them as well, okay? So just something like down the line.
There's a question on turmeric. Can it stain your teeth?
Can it stain your teeth? I don't find that it stains your teeth. I haven't had that happen. It does stain clothes though. So definitely be, careful in terms of, what you're wearing at the moment. So you're gonna cut it down the center, okay? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna half moon them as well. So you're also gonna cut them literally like a half moon. All right.
What did you enjoy? Oh, I'm sorry, because I couldn't see your face.
What I was about to say, I enjoy using Persian cucumbers because they're just extra crunchy as opposed to like English cucumbers. English cucumbers seem to have a lot of water, so it gets soggy pretty quickly. I like the Persian cucumber because they're just nice, small, and compact. So I like using that, okay? So basically you have these guys, right? And then I'm throwing in these guys, right? And then let me set this off to the side. We're going to take, good avocado. You were saying, Chef AJ? Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, first I want to agree. I love the Persian cucumbers because it seems like they have fewer seeds, and that's what I love about them.
Yes, definitely.
And I was just curious, what did you enjoy more, medical school or culinary school?
I actually enjoy them for, two different reasons. Culinary school, medical school was, it's just something you just kind of have to like get through, I actually enjoy my school, the schooling, as opposed to training. Training was a bit rough, what I'm saying? And I'm sure a lot of medical colleagues that you have on the show, would agree, but it was a bit rough. School was good. I made a lot of good friends. I was in the Appalachian Mountains in West Virginia, so it was a perfect place to study. And then culinary school, I was in, Manhattan, very cramped spaces, cramped kitchen spaces. You're like shoulder to shoulder, with your friends, at the stovetop. And it was a wonderful experience. So two different experiences, and I love them both. So and I definitely miss them. So so for Haas avocados, so what you want to do is, you want to make dice. So you can do this very, very gingerly, very carefully. Okay. So what I would do is I would make vertical marks, and then I turn in 45 degrees and then just, cut them down. And then what you do is you take a spoon and you scoop it out. For here, you probably talk about removing pits in the past. You can remove it like this. I like to do the knife down the center and then just removing it, or you just take, 3 fingers like this, and then you just hold it like this, back in like this, and then you just push it out like that. So.
The 3-finger technique.
Do you have any other tricks that you do with the removal of the pit, Chef AJ?
They always just taught us to kind of hit it with the knife and it comes out on the knife.
Exactly. So that's what I do. So basically, once you dice it, you're going to put this into the bowl. I love using a lot of avocados for myself, because it's just so rich, and a lot of great, good fats that come with it. And it makes it, for me, it adds a certain, umami flavoring to it. So I like using it a lot. So basically, let's see, we're going to add one more.
Dr. Zhu, I'm posting the link in the chat and in the show notes if people wanted to have a consult with you. But I'm just curious, could you do a culinary consult if somebody wanted?
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that. That probably would require a second type of consult. That would probably require second types in terms of like helping them literally in the kitchen. I don't see why not. That's actually a very good idea.
Well, thank you. I'm very full of ideas.
I'll pass that along to Dr. Lori and be like, hey, can we do, food in the kitchen consults?
Because I think for some people, that's their stumbling block, even more than knowing what to do, but how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you do a fantastic job. I try to do the best I can in terms of, just really showing people, the kitchen, what is prepared. I also host a podcast, like yourself. And, a lot of my guests, I have one episode, you had him before. I think it was Chef Colin Golding.
He's very talented.
Super, super talented. And, I have asked him to come and be a guest, and he just literally just showed me around his kitchen. So he showed me, what his kitchen, how it's organized in terms of refrigerator, countertops, drawers and cabinets, things like that. Even something like that is very important to convey to someone like, hey, how do you get organized? Because as a chef, it's super, super, important in terms of knowing where everything is and how to reach for things, just to kind of, help with efficiency and time. So basically, let's see. So basically, this is what we have right now. Okay. You have the cucumbers, you have the tomatoes. So the next thing you're going to do is I just use, ground turmeric. Okay. You can just get like a bulk item from Costco. Okay. And the recipe calls for around 4 tablespoons. I like to do a lot. So this is like roughly just eyeballing it like around 3 tablespoons here. Okay. Now it does have a kind of like, I wouldn't say pungent. It's just it's not a flavoring that most people are used to, especially if you are not of the Asian descent or South Asian descent. And it can be, a little bit, maybe astringent, and takes people aback. So you kind of have to mix it a little bit. So what I do is I do turmeric. Okay. Turmeric is part of the ginger family. And, it's a lot of different cultures use it. I did a medical mission trip in Cambodia, and we were touring this one island, and they were growing turmeric. And believe me, when you see turmeric in its live form, it is the most beautiful thing you will ever see. And it's orangey. It's just like a deep, orange, and it's just really, really beautiful. Next thing we're going to do is add apple cider vinegar. Okay. I like using the Bragg's brand because they just, do it very, very well. And then what you want to do is add, around 4 tablespoons or so. I just eyeball things. And so what this does is that, there's a lot of fat component to it. And so the acid from the vinegar would kind of cut through this as well. So that also helps. And then also we're going to add nutritional yeast to it. Okay. Which, we talked about, a little bit on the show. There you go. A lot of great B vitamins, 1, 2, 12.
Do you have a favorite brand of nutritional yeast, and do you prefer fortified versus unfortified?
I like, I don't really have a preference, to be honest. I like using Bragg's. I don't really have a preference. For me, as long as it does the job, it's good. It's, super convenient to use. I use it, a lot of savory dishes. Sometimes I'll even throw it in occasionally into a smoothie as well. So, all right, so set this aside. So next thing we're going to do is once you have, so we got the tomatoes, cucumbers, avocados, turmeric, nutritional yeast, and the vinegar. So we're going to also add basically black pepper. And so what's cool about, turmeric is that, when you combine it with black pepper, it actually increases it by a couple 1,000% in terms of the curcumin. And the curcumin is basically the phytonutrient component that gives it its, golden yellowish color, but it's also the anti-cancer, fighting properties. It's also the anti-inflammatory, fighting properties. And, turmeric and curcumin have been studied, so much, and it's been studied to have benefits in osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, Alzheimer's, and a lot of different other autoimmunes like lupus and things like that. So, and what's interesting is that when you combine it with black pepper, it increases it, so it's really, really cool. So that's what I do over here. And then if you have a lot of Ayurvedic practitioners on the show, they'll probably, actually talk about this as well. So last but not least, we're going to be using green onions or scallions in the Chinese culture. This is a must, in terms of, a lot of dishes to be able to, garnish and finish, in addition to just ginger as well. So I like to add this, for this because it gives it, some crunch. There's a lot of great freshness to this. So this. And then I top it off with Japanese furikage. And Japanese furikage is basically seasoning. Let me just grab it real quick. It's basically seasoning that you can top to like soups and different things like that. So it's made up of like seaweed, so like nori, and sesame seeds. So that's what I do. So I don't know if you can see it. So this is, there you have it. This is the golden turmeric salad, and this is good to go to serve.
It looks delicious.
Thank you very much. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to, if you don't have any questions, we're going to switch over to the mixed fruit chia seed pudding. So,
It's so funny because I lived most of my life without ever knowing what a chia seed is. It seems like it really just got popular, like I'm going to say the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think, let's see, when I was in school for culinary, it was about it's been about a decade ago now. And it was around that time, and a few years, in the late like 2010s is when I've noticed that, you have this quote unquote superfood movement, right? And everyone was going crazy about, hemp seeds and chia and flax and goji berries. And, they were just really isolating different things. And, if you think about it, when you're thinking about whole food plant-based, you can almost say that a lot of different foods within whole food plant-based are superfoods, right? And because it's just packed with so many great phytonutrients. In this recipe, definitely inspired by my mother, what we're going to do is she wanted to kind of, her concept of this was to really, provide a dessert that was sweet, that was fulfilling, right? And, just wanted to satiate that dessert, feeling, right? Not overly sweet, but you're sweetening it, with actual fruit. So basically I take a glass bowl like this so I can, actually see, where I'm pouring. Okay. So you're just gonna, nothing fancy. It's just a Pyrex bowl. And then you take chia seeds. Okay. So chia seeds have been around for thousands of years. Very, very popular seed. 5,000 years, historically speaking, definitely in the Western Hemisphere. The Mayans use it, the Aztecs use it a lot. It's stocked with a lot of fiber and omegas. So what we're gonna do is that you take a container, and then if you're making this for, at least 2 or 3 people, this size is probably like 2 or 3 servings. So what I do is I fill it up to a third. So this is why I use a glass bowl. Okay. So here, you use, so you can actually see, where it actually cups up to. Okay. So, chia seeds, again, have a lot of fiber, have a lot of omega-3s. In terms of, the actual pudding, I'm using its whole form. Okay. There are studies that show that, when you actually mill it down and grind it down, you'll have, more of the nutritional component, coming out. For these purposes, because of the pudding, it's going to be able to absorb everything and, make that gel-like, form. So you're going to be using a non-milk component to it. You can use different kinds. I like using almond milk, oat milk. Today, I'm using oat milk. And basically, you're just going to be filling it up. All the way to the brim of the container. So,
Dr. Seuss, Ellen said, have you ever made flaxseed pudding? Can you do that? But flax doesn't make it gelatinous the way chia does it?
It doesn't. It's interesting because Flaxseed, nutritionally speaking, is a little bit more nutritious than chia, but it doesn't make it gelatinous, definitely not. So it makes it actually just absorbs it. It just absorbs everything, to be honest. Because in culinary school, because my culinary school was a plant-based, our founder was a PhD, and she believed in, she was, a lot like you, very pioneer, in her days. And she really enjoyed a lot of cultural, traditional foods. And in terms of flax, we use flax, we use chia in terms of baking a lot. So what we're going to do is it just absorbs it. I find that. So what you want to do is just make sure that you are mixing it and it's not clumping up. Okay. It may look weird, but trust me, like after you have it settled in, it's great. Very, very simple preparation. And what you can do is that, you don't have to do it like this. You can do this in mason jars, right? So if you are a breakfast person and you want something grab and go, you can literally set up like 4 or 5 mason jars and just do exactly this, but just inside the actual jars. So here I'm just stirring it around so I can break up the clumps. And this is good because, you want to look at all the different areas to see you're not missing anything as well. And you just have to let it sit for a few hours, to be able to, have it absorb everything. But in terms of here, I'm preparing it, real time. So won't have a few hours, and Chef AJ needs to get on a plane. So, all right. So here, you can do anything. So mixed fruit basically, is what it says, right? So here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop a few blueberries here, okay? Blueberries are great, high in antioxidants, low on the glycemic index, great for diabetics. So I do this, and these are already pre-washed. All right. And then you can just take a paring knife and just cut it.
Dr. Zhu, there's a question. How do you recommend to best store powdered or dry spices?
Powdered or dry spices? So I like using mason jars, actually. So, the airtightness is able to store it pretty well. You can put it in mason jars. That's how I store. Honestly, when I ever buy beans and lentils and dry items like that, I literally just put it into mason jars, and that way it's airtight, and I could just put it into the actual pantry. If you have spices that have I guess more of a there's like natural oils that come with it, I'd probably put it into a darker container, but otherwise I would just put it into mason jars. So, all right, so I'm going to add also, I like these bananas, these smaller bananas. These are sweeter.
This is a non-medical and a non-cooking question, but somebody is complimenting your beard and wanted to know if you have tips.
That's a guy, right? That's a guy, right? Or is that
I think so. Yeah. Well, we hope so.
I mean, like, no judgment, how do I, what was the question that threw me off a
Well,
little
just
bit?
if you have any beard tips, like, I don't know, maybe because your beard is nicely groomed and maybe that's a problem for some people. I've never, actually, I did have a beard once. It was a blonde beard. It was called Lanugo. And that's how we found out I had hypothyroidism. Go figure. Thank goodness.
I know. I actually don't do much. There's a lot you can do with it. I can't believe I'm answering this question. So basically, in terms of beard, there's a lot, just the same way that, you have a conditioner, for your hair. Obviously, I don't have that, I don't need to worry about that. But in terms of the beard, there's actually, shaving creams, and then also to keep it well, like soft, there's actual, conditioner as well. So. But yeah, there's not like a special comb or I don't really do anything special with it, to be honest. All right. So this one's a little bit. Okay. So last thing I'm going to do is just garnish with a little bit. It's overflowing a little bit. That's why it's on the cutting board. So last thing I'm going to do is just garnish it with some mint. And I would take this, don't fill it to the brim like I did, or overflow it with, fruit like that. But I would set this into the actual refrigerator for at least a couple hours, so the chia has enough time. And so what it does is that depending on how much chia you put into the actual pudding, it's going to either make it very, very thick or very, very thin. So it's a combination and play of, how much of the non-dairy milk you're going to put, what I'm saying, in addition to everything. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
What other flavor combinations have you made?
I like using berries, so I like using raspberries. I like using mangoes, actually. Really good ripe mangoes would definitely do the trick. Citrus doesn't really, I don't find citrus is actually pretty good with this, but any type of berries, you can try papaya. Papaya and pineapple is also a great, combination. And let's just say you make a big batch. Sometimes we would make a big batch, and if you want to actually take it, you can actually just put that into a smoothie as well. Sometimes, sometimes you just want to, not waste it, because sometimes we'll make so many batches that, we were like, oh my, I can't eat this anymore. So we'll just throw into the smoothie, and it adds, the milk component to it, quote unquote, and then the chia. I love using chia in terms of my smoothies. I use a combination of flax, hemp, and chia as my base, for my smoothies. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And
here's a question. If I blend chia seeds, oat milk, and mango, would that still turn into a pudding consistency?
If I blend chia seed, oat milk, and mango, you have to let it sit. Blending it would be good, because then you're breaking up the chia seed, but I would let it sit for a little bit. I think it would still become a pudding consistency depending on what is the ratio of it. So I would go for like a quarter or a third, chia seed to, liquid component. So, and then also we use chia seeds. Like if you do 1 part chia and like 9 parts water, you can actually use that to replace, an oil or egg in terms of baking as well. I do this banana bread recipe that I use that to replace eggs. So
that's amazing. I didn't know there was an exact ratio 1 to 9 for that, because I've heard of flax eggs, but chia eggs, that's very cool, because I prefer chia to flax. I just think it tastes better.
Yeah. It depends, on the recipe. So I definitely the minimum is 1 to 3. So 1 part chia to 3 parts, liquid. And then just, increasing it depending on, what you want. But it's typically at least 1 to 3. So you're about to say something?
Oh, yeah. I saw a question. Where did it go? My chat moves very quick. Oh, here it is from Maureen. Is chia as nutritious as if it is grinded as if it is soaked? So does it matter nutritionally? Because I know flaxseed you have to grind.
So yeah, soaking it, if you don't grind it and you soak it, it still just retains its whole component, right? So depending on how well you digest, your body may or may not, is able to break it down and absorb it, right? So that's depending on your digestive function. So like when you're grinding things, you're breaking things open and you're releasing it. But for this purposes, in terms of a pudding, it's more of a palate usage. So I'm using it in terms of a functional component, in terms of having that. Because if you mill this, right, let's just say you break up the chia and then you do the pudding. It doesn't. I've tried it both ways. It doesn't have as I like having the whole component. You know what I'm saying? So, but milling it, nutritionally speaking, will be better. So just play around, So what I love about cooking, I've said many times is, it's a lot of trial and error, and it's a lot of experimenting, and just have fun with it, So.
Absolutely. Do you eat pretty simply on a daily basis, or do you make a lot of recipes for yourself and your family?
I try to do a couple, really good, fan favorites, in terms of, recipes, and we just mix it up. And all of our, we're all of us, we actually cook on our own as well. So it's fun to just, swap ideas, create new ideas, get inspired, whenever we order in, we just say to ourselves, we probably could have done this differently, or probably could have done this differently, or take out this. And growing up, my mom, we ate more of the standard American diet growing up, right? But my mom always wanted to recreate recipes, for us, back in the kitchen, so she would eat something and then taste something and then, try to recreate it in the kitchen. So we try to use that same concept to, be inspired and also make things more healthful in a way, especially when you're transitioning, because I wasn't whole foods plant-based all my life. I probably transitioned like, what year is it? Maybe like seven going on 8 years ago. And so, but as a Chinese American, we ate things, equally, what I'm saying? So, equal parts of vegetables to seafood, to meat, to, grains. It wasn't anything too extreme, like just meat and potatoes. Everything needed to be in balance because, in the Chinese, culture, we really enjoy concepts like harmony and balance and things like that. And we apply that same concept, to the cooking process as
when
well.
you go to a Chinese medical doctor, which I do sometimes because she does acupuncture, she's also an MD, everything is about balancing,
Yep.
Not just in your body, but everything's with the,
Everything.
It's very beautiful.
Everything.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, for me, if you come see me as a patient, we don't just talk about food as medicine. We talk about, your emotional component of it. We talk about, what are you doing physically? What is your environment? Do you have a support system? Are you sleeping well? So everything is in balance, right? We don't live in a bubble. We don't live in isolation. We live in tandem and connection with everything around us. So.
Great. That's so, are you an avid exerciser?
I am. I just finished a half marathon this past weekend in Oklahoma. So.
Oh, wow. You really are then.
Yeah. I like to. So I did track and field growing up in junior high, and I just started doing marathons and triathlons my last year in college, and just became, a fun addiction for me. And I have a goal to do a race in every state in America. So hence why I was in Oklahoma. So.
Wow. And does every single state have their own marathon?
It has I enjoy a variety of races. So it could be a marathon, it could be a triathlon, it could be an obstacle race, a mud race, So I just, I like to have fun with it. So I'm not a competitive person. I really enjoy the aliveness and energy, adrenaline rush that you're, in a certain physical activity, like a race, for example, and everyone does a race for a different goal, but everyone is united, on the same playing field to achieve that one goal, whatever it is for them. It's very personal, right? So I like that notion. It's a great energy. It's nice to be with people, right? I still do it safely, so.
Well, that's pretty cool because I mean, just seeing every single state, that would be an amazing goal in itself because I haven't seen probably a tenth of them.
Yeah, I actually recently had this guest. She cooks, from an RV, and her and her husband, she takes an RV and tries to travel to all the national parks.
Oh, wait, I think I had her too recently. Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy. Yeah. She's great. She's wonderful. So her setup is amazing.
I mean, people didn't even know that was an RV. They thought it was just a regular home kitchen. It was so beautiful.
No, all we talked about was the RV. I was like, I love it. So
that is cool. Well, I'm going to, the guests don't see what happens before the show, but I just still want to suggest you get an animal rescue someday because I love the name Dr. Zhu's Zoo. I just think that is the coolest thing. You got the name Zhu.
I will keep this in mind, AJ. I will definitely keep this in mind down the road.
You never know.
We were talking offline. And I was like, if I can clone myself and, do all these crazy ventures, I would love to do something like that. I love animals. So I'm an avid scuba diver, and I love marine life, and it was one of the very, very realist moments where you can actually see climate change in action, and it's definitely humbling, to say the least. So I definitely enjoy all life forms. So I'm more of a marine life guy. So
very cool. And now that you don't need them anymore, you can really commune with them.
yeah, they don't look at me, funny, so and swim away.
That's funny. You have such a great, I bet you're just a wonderful doctor. You have such a great spirit and such a wonderful sense of humor.
Oh, thanks, Chef AJ. I really appreciate that. So
Denise wants to know the name of your podcast. It is in the show notes, Denise. The reason you can't see it is because you're watching on Facebook, but everything about Dr. Zhu is in YouTube, and it's called Thrive Bites, right?
Correct. Yes. It's called Thrive Bites. I started it over 2.5 years ago. The first 3 seasons were all audio. This season we're having it on YouTube. And it's great. We talk about plant-powered living, enhancing your emotional resilience, and creating a thriving mindset. So I have a great, variety of guests, and it's been fun. It's been very humbling, and a great component to continue to connect, kind of like how we're connecting right now to different walks of life. And wouldn't you say, Chef AJ, that without this kind of medium, it's almost hard. It's almost impossible to cross paths with these people in real life. What I'm saying? It's just amazing. And I know your audience is, international as well. So
that
it's just wonderful.
Was the greatest gift of the pandemic, meeting I don't think I would have met this many people, as I was continuing.
Right. Exactly.
It's been kind of amazing, actually. Well, you really are kind of a Renaissance man. You're a doctor, you're a chef, you're a marathoner, you're a scuba diver. I mean, is there anything you cannot do?
No, I mean, like that expression, you can put, do anything you put your mind to it. It's literally that, I think as human beings, we have amazing potential to achieve all these different things, I think, depending on how you grow up in society, how much society, you allow to influence you, it's can be very debilitating and limiting for some people, but you have to be able to change that mindset and change, and shift, your mindset to really do all these different things you want. I mean, life is short, and I think COVID really taught me that life is fragile, right? So, you have to be able to switch that narrative for yourself. And I think if I can do it, anyone can do it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be a doctor or chef to enjoy all these different things in life. You know what I'm saying? So.
Absolutely. How long in the fridge does the chia pudding last? And have you ever done it like in individual cups, like parfaits?
Yes, you can do it in parfaits. I actually just gave a live culinary demo to another group, and we did it into these like little parfait glasses. So it's like, probably like, three tablespoons worth. And how long does it keep? Probably, I would consume it probably have it no longer than 48 hours.
Right. Okay. Have you ever done chocolate?
Chocolate,
chia pudding?
Like a chia pudding? No. I actually have a bag of cacao powder I could probably use and some nibs. But no, I have not.
I bet you could.
Yes, it would definitely go well with the blueberries for sure. So
yeah. Well, and this was the fun question I ended on with Dr. Scheuer yesterday, and I'll ask you, if you were going to be executed for a crime you obviously didn't commit, what would you choose as your last meal?
Oh, noodles for sure. My comfort food is noodles. So, I love a good, noodle soup. And I love it from many different types of cultures, but, obviously being Chinese heritage, it's our comfort food. So, so definitely that. So.
Right. I would remember that movie Kung Fu Panda. He said, "We're noodle people, son."
Exactly. It's true. We are noodle people.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. You're just delightful guest. Please come on anytime. And I hope you guys will consider booking a consult with Dr. Zhu, because he is really wonderful. You can see he can help you with the cooking, with the mindset, with just about anything you have.
Yeah. And I just want to add one more thing, Chef AJ, if I may, is, I created earlier this year something called the Thrive Formula. It's a self-educational masterclass series. Chef AJ, very great to grace us with her presence. And I love, you were demonstrating your almond cow. It was the almond cow, right? Was that what you called it?
The Nutramilk machine.
Nutramilk machine. Yeah, it was so cool. She does a dessert with 2 ingredients, and I loved it. So self-educational class, and we talk a lot more about food as medicine as well as other pillars. And I gave a discount code for your audience for those that want to get into it. So we talk about things like this, but just deeper in depth. So a lot of great stuff. So thank you, Chef AJ, for having me on. I really appreciate every time I come on. And thank you to your audience. They're a wonderful bunch of group, and just keep on learning, everyone. That's the most important thing. You can't stop learning. And the more, you can continue to inform and empower yourself, and education and awareness and all these great things that more about yourself and the environment is what's going to help make the world a better place. So
I keep thinking, now that you said noodles, I keep thinking we live in a time now where there's so many choices for noodles. They don't have to just be made from flour anymore. You've got zoodles, you've got butternut squash zoodles, you've got sweet potato noodles, you've got hearts of palm noodles, you've got spaghetti squash noodles. I mean, you've got kelp noodles. I mean, we've got a world full of noodles now.
I love, so zoodles is with zucchini, right? So, so I love making that with just like a simple like pesto sauce, and it's awesome. So I actually using chia, I made this recipe long time ago using kale. I made a pesto with kale and chia seed. So I replaced the basil. I replaced, we still use pine nuts. I think we use walnuts in that one. So, but we took out the cheese, the pecorino cheese or the Parmesan cheese, and took that out. So, but it's awesome. So chia is very versatile. So if you took anything from this, using turmeric, okay, don't wear white, okay, use it in everything. And then also use chia and everything. So it's a very versatile ingredient. So it's about, just experimenting at the end of the day. That's the beauty of cooking. So
I love chia just for its thickening properties. When I make salad dressings, it's like amazing.
Exactly. So just like no limits. So
yeah, and you can get a big bag at Costco organic for a really affordable price.
I think that bag I got from Costco, I think we have like 2 or 3 bags of those we got from Costco. So Costco's does pretty good things. So
yeah, and it's amazing if you're plant-based and if you want a lot of organics. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Zhu. It was great catching.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And any questions, don't hesitate, reach out. And I really appreciate what you do, Chef AJ. So
thank you. Dr. McDougall on Monday said that I don't know if you speak Chinese, but he says there's a phrase in Chinese where you say hello or how are you, but it really means, have you had your rice today?
So basically it's, have you eaten today? So it's an expression we usually follow up by saying, hello, how are you? And we say, did you eat today? But if you literally translate it, yes, you could, it says, have you eaten rice? But it's a slang. So it's actually saying, have you eaten today? Because, the Chinese is all about, food. So it's more of like, it's like, how are you doing? Have you eaten today? You know what I'm saying? So.
Love it. Thank you for explaining that. Great. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time when we will complete Plant-Based Telehealth Week with none other than its co-founder, Dr. Lori Marvis. Take care, Dr. Zhu, and enjoy those two delicious culinary creations you just made.
Thank you very